Okay, so here's number 5. We have another trinomial, right? 3 terms. The numbers 7, 31, and 20 don't have any common factors because 7 and 31, these are both prime numbers, so they won't divide by anything. So we don't have a GCF. We also will not be able to do trinomial factoring because our a term is not equal to 1. When that's the case, when a is not equal to 1, you're going to use the next method of factoring that we want to cover today, which is called split the middle. Some people call this AC factoring, but you're basically going to take the a term and multiply it by the c term. 7 times negative 20 would give you negative 140. And what we're going to try to do is find all the factors of negative 140 that we can. There is a little trick that you can use if you have a graphing calculator and you're trying to factor a larger number like 140. You'll go to the y equals menu, you'll type in this number you're trying to factor, 140, and you're going to divide that by the variable x. And then if you hit second graph, you'll pull up the table. We've got 1 and 140, of course. We've got 2 and 70. We have 3 in a decimal, so we're not going to use that one. We have 4 and 35. We have 5 and 28. And we have 7 and 20. And let's scroll down to see if we have any more. We have 10 and 14. And some decimals, and then 14 and 10. That would be a crisscross, and so these are going to be our choices. So we want to pay close attention to the fact that 140 is a negative, which means we're looking for 2 numbers that are 31 units apart, right? That have a difference of 31, since one of these factors is inevitably going to be a negative. So let's see, 140 and 1, those are apart by 139. That's too far, right? 2 and 70, they're apart by 58, and we keep working our way down. Let's see, 4 and 35, those are apart by exactly 31, right? So we could either do 4 minus 35, or we could do 35 minus 4, and of course, we're going to want to make the bigger number negative. That way, they add up to negative 31. So here's where we have to split the middle. The middle term is negative 31x, and we're going to split that into 2 terms, and the terms are going to be built by these factors, 4 and negative 35. So we'll simply bring down the first term, 7x squared, and we can write either one of these numbers with an x first. So we could say plus 4x minus 35x. Again, the order you write those terms does not matter, and you'll bring down your c term. So now we've got 4 terms, and we're going to do something called factor by grouping. We're going to basically pretend that this is 2 separate expressions. So let's look at these first 2 terms, 7x squared plus 4x. The numbers 7 and 4 do not have common factors, but they do both contain an x. When 2 or more terms contain the same letter, we just take the lower power one, right? This would be x to the first, or just regular x. So our GCF would be x, and if we divide that out, 7x squared divided by x would just be 7x. 4x divided by x would just be plus 4. You always want to double check, make sure that x times 7x gives you what you had up here, 7x squared, and that x times 4 gives you what you had up here, 4x. We're basically undoing the distributive property. Let's look at the next 2 terms, negative 35x and negative 20. These numbers are both divisible by 5, so we could take out a 5 or we could take out a negative 5, but we want to make this decision based on what we got over here. Our goal is to get the same exact thing right here. And if you take out a negative 5 in this case, you'll be able to get the positive 7x plus 4. And if those both match, we can go to our next step, which is to actually factor these into binomials. What we'll do is we'll take the stuff that was on the outside here, the x and the negative 5, so we'll get one factor, x minus 5. And we'll get this matching stuff, 7x plus 4, as our other factor. And that is how you do split the middle. It's a couple extra steps, but once you practice this, it becomes a very quick process, almost just as easy as trinomial factoring.